So considering this is the worst of the worst podcast, we're going to be talking about the worst invention. Just a quick go around the table. What do you think is the best invention off the top of your head? Get out the way.
Ooh, the best invention?
The vaccine.
Ooh.
Smallpox vaccine?
Mm.
It's a pretty big one. The printing press was pretty cool.
Yeah, big one.
The toothpick. Game changer, dude.
The toothpick.
The toothpick.
Go on.
Well, I mean, it cleans your teeth when you can't clean it otherwise.
Yeah?
Yeah. Better than the toothbrush.
What about floss? They have floss in South Africa?
No, we use bamboo reeds.
You use like beef jerky, don't you?
Yeah, we use biltong to
you
slice
clean,
through our
clean the
teeth.
meat out with more meat.
Leaves a spicy aftertaste.
Mm.
Lighters are pretty good. Some might say it was a light bulb moment.
Oh.
I mean the fire, or the I'm gonna say the wheel or fire, not
The fire.
not that. Yeah,
The fire was a good invention.
The fire.
The fire. That one fire we had once.
Yeah,
that was a good invention.
Or we say the wheel, right? We don't, when you say they invented the wheel.
But the wheel exists in nature somewhere, doesn't it?
No, I don't think
There's
so.
not a perfect circle, I suppose.
Let's just figure it out. I bet you they just rolled a rock and they're like, how do we reproduce this?
Yeah,
Right, like a round
you've got to emulate what happens in nature, haven't you? I don't know.
and they're like, how do we do that?
Like, mate, I don't know. It's hard to put myself in the mind of someone then to think, like, is it obvious? Like, I don't know.
No,
Like you
it
say,
must
you
not
watch
be
something
obvious.
rolling. Okay, that seems... So to me, it would be obvious that a triangle wouldn't be the right way to do it. But I don't know, though, because if you've got no prior knowledge... I don't know. Do you reckon people were trying to roll triangles and squares? Or do you reckon they knew straight away it needs to be something circular?
If everybody but us died and the power went out, we wouldn't be able to fix electricity, even though we lived our entire lives surrounded by it, like literally surrounded by it, right?
Of course.
Like maybe we could go get books on it, but we wouldn't just figure it out. I know I wouldn't.
No.
Matt might, but I wouldn't.
Thank you.
But you need people who know how to do this stuff, though. Like, I'm not saying we would reinvent everything, but if you got the minds, the knowledge, then you're bound to recreate it, aren't
Unless
you?
it's like basic physics, I can't think of anything that I'm reinventing. Fish hooks. Can I invent a? Can I really make a functional bow? Could you guys make a functional bow?
I mean,
Doubt
yes,
it.
yeah.
Okay, well, okay. Die.
So dystopian apocalypse right now. Who's the first to die?
Probably me.
No, yeah, it's true though. Like, I don't have much to offer,
Wow.
really. I like to think, I'd make myself a spear and that, and I'd go hunter-gatherer. And I like to think I'd have a bit of heart in that, but yeah, I don't think I'd last too long.
Pretty quickly, we were like, Matty, justify your existence. Like, how would you? Why should you live?
Well, what? I can't do anything though. I can't do anything. I can barely cook. Well, I can't cook. I can't make shit.
I would love to eat something you cook one day. I genuinely would.
I could make it like a bacon butty, something like that.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds delicious, man. I'd love it. I'd love it.
Yeah, pasta. I could do pasta.
Ooh, with some sauce.
Yeah, put sauce in it.
he says it like
As an afterthought.
if you want,
yeah. I don't know why.
need
I don't know why you would
So
want
you
it.
want
But
stuff-
okay, yeah, that's a weird request.
You want stuff with your pasta, do you?
You don't want it. You don't want. You want to put tomatoes on it or something. You want some weird. You want to dress it. You want fancy pasta.
Yeah. Want some lettuce or something with that? I don't know.
You want to bougie it up.
John, justify your existence in a post-apocalyptic world.
I can't buy any. I would just throw me in the pit. It's fine. I have no. What can I say? I don't think we're even supposed to, we're not built to survive alone anywhere. But we didn't. No, like think about it. You would die from exposure, or just like there are literally so many things that could kill you.
Oh, but dude, you're just proving it here. You're the survival consultant.
You are not meant to live alone. Like you're just not meant. Like people can get by when there's a lot of us, right? I think that's like the whole point, right? But by one of us, I don't know. I watched a show where these guys are surviving out in the Vancouver wilderness, but they have a ton of stuff with them, and these guys are expert survivalists. You know what I mean? They're not just like out there by themselves. Like they've got materials. I would still die for sure. I would get eaten by something really fast.
All the cannibals would get you. There'd be a cannibal group, wouldn't there?
They would love to eat my sweet ass.
There'd be a cannibal group going around in a van playing rock music.
Yeah.
That'd be sick. I want to be part of that group.
Of course you would.
Yeah, dude,
everyone would want to
fuck
be,
yeah.
but they probably just eat you. You know what I mean? Realistically.
That's the thing.
I'm the muscle though, dude. I'm the muscle. I'm the leader of that fucking cannibalistic group.
That's the problem with these apocalyptic things, is that the worst people would stay alive, wouldn't they? Like the new world would be started by all the people who were like most willing to just
Isn't that the point of all those zombie
Start
movies?
killing each
right?
other.
The real monsters aren't the zombies; it's the people,
That's deep. That's deep.
right? That's like the Walking Dead 101. Yeah.
Have you seen The Road?
I tried to read The Road, but it was again just depressing. You know what I mean?
It's good though.
I believe it's good. Sometimes I'm too American. I need my media to be a little less.
You need to be happy.
I need to have a little less existential dread in my in my art consumption. Sometimes, because it's tough enough out there, man. Shit.
Yeah.
You know, we don't all need. You
don't need that in your life.
No, sometimes I don't need that in my life. You know?
So speaking of things we don't need in our lives, what is your guys' worst invention?
Well, I think the worst invention is leaded gasoline.
Do you mean petrol?
Do you mean petrol,
I
right?
mean petrol, yeah, leaded petrol. For all of the benefits of leaded petrol, it allowed motors to run a little faster. It caused horrific damage. So horrific. So think about this. How many things do all the countries in the world agree on? Like very, very few, right? Most in almost anything, there's going to be at least one or two countries that's like, yeah, no, we're just not gonna do that. Now, literally every country has banned the sale of leaded gasoline. Even North Korea. Even North Korea is like, this is a bad idea. We shouldn't do it. It's the effects are that bad.
So what's wrong with leaded gasoline, dude?
So the lead is extremely toxic. They first realized how bad it was when they were measuring ice samples in Greenland, and they could measure measure the time that people started using leaded gasoline because it showed up in the ice sheets in Greenland where there are no cars.
So
right?
did it like come through the ocean or how?
It's just in the air. It's just in the air in everything you do. And the lead is terrible for you. It causes so they think that the phasing out the lead in gasoline caused average IQ levels to rise by several points in the United States.
Rise.
Yeah, because when they stopped.
Oh, when they stopped.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Maybe I missed it. It's that bad. And this was all over the world, right? All over the world.
Yeah.
On a massive level. And not only does it cause massive problems to people in your neurological development, but it's also full of carbons. So it really just has caused extreme damage all over the world.
So lead makes engines better.
At the time, they thought it was necessary. But, of course, the companies making the gasoline have a market interest in minimizing the damage and saying that, of course, the benefits are really high and the damages are actually not as bad as you think. I think to say that the benefits outweighed the costs would be optimistic.
Okay.
And taking too much on faith that the companies who benefit from poisoning children.
So lead gasoline, what was it used to run? Like just cars, or was it power plants?
Fucking everything.
Everything.
They still use it a little bit in some aviation fuels.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How's that not been outlawed yet? If lead gasoline is such a bad thing.
My understanding is that the only place where they sold it recently was in Algeria, and now it's basically done. Let's see. In history,
not done your research, John.
I'm sorry, I can't remember everything.
Looks like you need to use a cell phone in order to bridge those gaps.
Yeah, because a cell phone is the best.
Because it's a crutch, right?
Okay. The final. No, sorry. Okay, I misread this before. The final stocks of the product were used in Algeria in 2021. So they finally phased it out. The whole world is finally done with it. It's almost like slavery. The whole world was like, you know what? This is really bad. We can all agree. This is really bad.
How recent was it being used, like, in the majority of people's cars?
They phased it out in America in the 60s. So I imagine the rest of the world followed suit.
Oh, so we got it before it could do any real damage then, didn't we?
I mean, your grandparents and your parents inhaled a shit ton of it, I'm sure.
Yeah, but not that many people had cars back then.
They found it, but it's not just cars. It's all fuels, man. Trucks, factories, whatever. You know what I mean? You need petrol for lots of things, man.
Yeah, but they gotta run their factories. You know what I mean? They gotta run their industry. They need something.
Well, what's the alternative in the 60s aside from lead fuel?
Like they didn't know, they had to do it. You know, trial and error. They found out, they corrected it.
They knew about the problems within years of using. They knew how toxic lead was. That was not news. Of course, they probably didn't understand the extent of the damage, but that doesn't.
Is it cheap? Is it cheaper than?
It made the engines more effective. It did serve a purpose. Whether the costs outweigh the benefits, because every invention has a purpose. You know what I mean? You're not gonna unless the argument is the invention serves no purpose.
So is this not the first type of gas that was being put in people's cars?
It was.
Was this an improvement?
It made engines run better. There was a reason why they used it, but of course, in doing so, they caused massive neurological damage to pretty much everybody that lived.
So like, how does lead like negatively affect the average person?
Okay.
'Cause I remember there was like, weren't there a bunch of toys when we were growing up that had to be recalled because there was like lead in the Barbie legs or whatever it was? Like, so how does lead negatively affect you?
So let's see. It just causes massive neurological damage. They found crime dropped as well when they phased it out. Reduction in average blood lead level is believed to have been a major cause for falling violent crime rates in the United States. There's statistically a significant correlation between the average usage rate of leaded gasoline and violent crime.
So lead make you a psycho, a violent psycho.
Lead causes severe cognitive issues. And the funny thing is, it was invented by the same guy who also made Freon.
What's Freon?
Invented Freon. It was like a coolant. Basically, this guy, I sent him to you in the chat earlier today, is Walter Midgley Jr. He invented lots and lots of chemicals that just raped the environment mercilessly. He's like a Disney villain. He is legitimately like a Disney villain. You know, he just sold.
And his name's Walter as well.
The connections run deep.
It's a good villain's name, Walter, I think.
He sold the world. You know, he's the man who sold the world. That's what he is. He is the epitome of the David Bowie song. Yeah. Thomas Midgley Jr. Sorry, Thomas.
But he's not doing a bad thing. Like, he's not like the person who invented the nuclear bomb or the person who invented the gun or something like that.
He didn't realize
he's just trying to improve engines. Yeah, he's just trying to make cars
he was
run
pumping
better.
Poison into the atmosphere. Like he was. I mean, climate change is partly a thing because of leaded gasoline. It's such a problem. The whole fucking world has banned the use of it. The whole world.
But these inventions, though, like
we don't agree on anything, man.
At the time of the invention, it wasn't known to be a bad thing. It's a bit like asbestos. Asbestos is a shit invention, but at the time they just thought it would help with, I don't know what's it for? Is it insulation or something?
Insulation, I think. Yeah. But doesn't that what make it the worst? Is that we didn't even know at the time that it was bad. It like no one was like, oh God, I hope we never have to use this.
Yeah, but I think if you're inventing like a killing machine for the purpose of killing people, that's got to be worse, hasn't it?
I mean, every invention is going to have a function. Right.
Yeah, and the function of yours was pretty good. It turned out he made a few mistakes.
Yeah, but the ideal goal was to just make things more efficient and useful.
Right, but it ended up having incredibly negative consequences for the whole world. Think of how different the whole world would be if like everybody around the world this was a dirty tree hugger, but also was like noticeably smarter. You know what I mean? What if a whole generation of people around the world was just like a little bit smarter, a little bit less violent? You know what I mean? Like across the whole world.
And I just think you're being a little bit harsh on old Tommy Maisley, really.
I think, look, it's easy to say a weapon is the worst. Easy to say that. But all of these weapons or all of these inventions had a purpose, right? And I think there's something intrinsically insidious about something that's kind of benign, right? You just end up like, oh, this guy probably got a promotion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are probably like, oh, Tom Midgley, that guy's a genius. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, he is. I mean,
unbeknownst to the world, and not even unbeknownst to himself, he's like poisoning his children and his grandchildren, and like that's dark.
Yeah, it is. Do you think it's the kind of thing someone else would have invented if he didn't invent it?
At some point, I mean, if you put 7 monkeys in a room, would they eventually write Hamlet?
Is that like an actual thing that you've heard somewhere else, or is that?
I botched the delivery. I think it's if you put 7 monkeys with typewriters in a room, they'll eventually produce Hamlet. Like, assuming they can go on for infinity, the idea is that, like, is anything, would anything be invented eventually?
There's got to be something out there that is that weird and mad an invention that it's unique. You know what I mean? There's got to be something out there that came from a unique mind in certain circumstances.
Over an infinite timeline, I think everything would recur.
So you're saying we're destined for failure eventually?
But maybe also success? Not us individually, though. Probably failure. But, like, in some timelines, this is probably a successful podcast.
Yeah, in some alternate universe, people might be listening.
In some alternate, a much better one than this.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think leaded gasoline was a shit invention?
I mean, it sounds like it sucked. I'm not experiencing the effects of it personally right now, so.
But you are experiencing the after effects of living in a world that's been poisoned by leaded gasoline.
Yeah, and
You just
tell me an
might not
effect
even-
of that. Like, what is that effect?
Well, think about it. Your parents and your grandparents are dumber and meaner than they would have otherwise been.
Is that proven that it
They've
definitely
proven that-
made
they've
people
proven that-
stupider and worse?
Yes, dude. Then when they phased
Because
it
like,
out,
so when they phased it out, people stopped fighting.
when they phased
but-
it out, crime levels dropped, and the average
Okay.
average IQ of the American population, and I made the same mistake twice. I realized rose. You know?
Yeah. And could there not be any other factor that explained that?
Well,
At
of course
the
there
same
could be-
time,
of
maybe
course there could be
standard of
other
living's
factors.
increased, or you know.
There are plenty of factors it could have been. Why are you a shill for big oil, Matty? He doesn't like you.
I'm
This
just
is
trying to
like
get us a
you.
good sponsor.
This isn't like-
Yeah, dude. This
Mom,
episode's
happy
brought to you
morning.
by Shell.
Yeah, that's when we'll get the good equipment.
The $5,000 microphone's brought to you by BP Oil.
Yeah, brought to you by destroying the Mexican Gulf.
the future.
I don't live there. It doesn't affect me.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude. Fuck sea turtles, bro.
Yeah.
Who cares? Have you seen a sea turtle? I haven't for, who cares?
Well, no, we haven't seen them now, have we?
No, who cares?
Do you think leaded oil killed off Bigfoot?
I think we'll never know because they did such a good job of hiding. We'll never find their secret towns. Not
Yeah.
for a million years.
Maybe if we were a bit smarter, we'd have found them by now.
Yeah, maybe if it wasn't for leaded gasoline, we'd have figured it out. Think about how many things we didn't figure out because of leaded gasoline.
Give me one.
Well, I can't think of things we didn't come up with already.
Well, but maybe it didn't affect you
Okay,
as badly
so-
as you think it did
okay,
then.
Think about this rise in violent crime all across the world from leaded gasoline. Who suffered violence and died because of leaded gasoline? We'll never know what they could have given the
I don't
world.
think there was any violence before leaded gasoline was invented.
Yeah, no such thing, dude.
No. I think everyone got along.
Unless
And then that
Under
fucking
the-
Tom
under the
Maisley
great
came
yoke
along,
of the British
putting
Empire.
lead in all our gas, and then all of a sudden everyone just started fighting and kicking off.
Yeah, that's what it wasn't. Yeah, you're right. Is that the excuse for why the British Empire fell? Is the leaded gasoline? People were happy until then.
So now that we're finished with John's,
I can't wait to ask Matty how a fucking nuclear weapon works.
Can't wait to answer.
Fuck you guys.
Yeah, well, I think the worst invention is the nuclear bomb. So how about that one, John?
How does that make that? How does that work, Matty?
It harnesses the natural power of the universe, and they use that power and
The power of the universe.
yeah,
Sounds
yeah,
like Neil deGrasse Tyson.
yeah, you like that one, didn't you?
Yeah, I fucking love that one.
Okay, we are literally have the capability to destroy our whole planet. We've invented something that can end existence. It's got to be the worst invention. I mean, we've basically got a gun pointed at our heads constantly. Like, we don't talk about it as much anymore. Used to be a big thing, obviously, in the Cold War and stuff like that. The idea that there could just be a nuclear war one day. And we don't really talk about it now. We talk about things like global warming, maybe pandemic, stuff like that more.
Fake news, all of it.
But it's still like a legitimate threat. Like, can we exist with these bombs and not use them? And like, we don't know. You know what I mean? Like, if we ever do use them, then we're fucked.
But could you not argue on the other side of that and say, like, these nukes keep everyone in line, though? So it's like, because the nations are going to be conflicting no matter whether they have nukes or not. And then if two conflicting nations have nukes, at least it keeps both of them in line. If anything, it keeps peace.
My invention is so bad nobody uses it anymore. You know.
Yeah, well, the same thing's true with a nuke, though, isn't it? No one's dropped a nuke on people since America dropped one on Japan. So no one's dropped a nuke since more than one country's had one. Like, when America did that, there was no chance of a retaliation.
Yeah.
But since more than one country's had a nuke, one hasn't been dropped because we know what would happen as a result.
I think a lot of it's just dumb luck.
What, you mean dumb luck that we haven't had a nuclear war?
Not just that, like a nuclear accident, like a major one. Not just like a Chernobyl, but like oh shit.
I mean, yeah, it's weird that, like, one person has the power to do it. Like, I don't know exactly how the decision's made. Obviously, there must be, a group of people and a discussion whether or not you're going to drop this nuke. But ultimately, power comes down to one person to decide whether or not I'm going to drop a bomb that's going to wipe out millions of people, like, in a morning. And that's the power that's in the hands of one person.
Okay, this fucking hero by the name of Vasily Arkhipov. He was second in command of a nuclear submarine, and the captain told him to use nuclear torpedoes against the United States Navy, and he refused. He was the only one of the 3 people aboard the submarine to refuse. So basically, this dude had the fate of the world in his hands, and he said no.
Where did the order come from?
And why am I the one who has to do all the fucking research? It's your goddamn invention. Jesus. Fucking
you're
hell.
the one who came
how
out with the
does letting
story.
gasoline work, John? How does I don't fucking know, Matty. God damn it.
I mean, it was your story.
Okay, so they didn't, because they thought that war might have already broken out, and they were not entirely sure. The captain decided that war had broken out, and he wanted to launch a nuclear torpedo. Unlike the other submarines, all 3 of them, like the important guys on board, had to agree, and he was the only one who said no.
So we have come close to actually having a nuclear war. It comes down to people's decisions. So you've got that example. You got the Cuban Missile Crisis, where, like, you know, if it was handled a bit differently, if you maybe had some different personalities in the room at the time, you could have ended up with a nuclear war.
They had decided that to wait for official word from Moscow before they did anything.
Yeah.
How many countries still have active nukes?
So America, Russia, the UK, France. Does China?
Yeah.
Pakistan, India, North Korea, maybe
Israel,
and Iran.
Iran's super close.
There are less nukes in the world than there used to be. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but I think at one point there were, like, we should probably check this, but I think there was about 70,000 nukes in the world at one point, and there's now about 30,000. So there has been, like, agreements where people have tried to, like, limit this stuff. But obviously there's still more than enough nukes out there to destroy the world a few times over. Which is a weird thing. I've never quite understood that. Like, once you've got enough nukes to destroy the planet, surely you've got enough. Yeah, if you got worse people in charge, just a few, you know, you throw in a few different variables and you could still get a nuclear war. So it does, like, I can see the argument where it's kept the peace. Obviously, there's still been wars since there's been nukes, so you can't turn around and say it's kept the peace for it. Like, it hasn't kept the peace for the Vietnamese, do you know what I mean? But, yeah, it possibly has prevented a World War III. But if we ever do have another major conflict between superpowers, the world's likely going to be completely fucked, and that's because of the invention of the nuke.
What you're talking about is hypothetical, mostly. Of course, the bombs on Japan were terrible, but more people died in, like, the fire bombings in Tokyo.
Yeah, they did.
The fire bombings are worse than nukes, right? It's not about the amount of people dying.
Yeah, no, I'm not, like, that's the natural progression from what you're doing. Like, you're already bombing them. The reason they didn't nuke Tokyo was because it wasn't seen as, what would you call it, like a significant location anymore,
right.
Because they'd fucking leveled it, basically.
It had already been destroyed, yeah.
So, yeah, it's not like, if you accept that bombing a city to the ground is okay, then you can nuke them. But it's the capability, isn't it? It's the fact that they drop one nuke and instantaneously the whole place is just flattened, like, you know, that, basically.
What's the likelihood of a nuke being dropped, though, in this day and age?
I mean, if the
Too
global
high.
climate changed, like, from what I've read and from what I've heard, became genuinely close to it during the Bay of Pigs fiasco
Yep.
and the Cuban Missile
Yep.
Crisis. A lot of people talk about how, like, if it was maybe a different personality than JFK at the time, then he might have took different decisions and we might have ended up having a nuclear war. Look at what's going on now with Russia. I mean, if right now something like that doesn't seem likely, but if the situation escalates, if America and Russia come into a direct conflict, then all of a sudden the question of whether a nuke's going to get dropped becomes a really realistic question again.
I think
that's a fucking terrifying place to be.
Yeah, when Russia invaded Ukraine, I think if you weren't at least a little worried about nukes, you don't understand the situation.
Nukes are bad though.
Yeah, they sound pretty shit, but maybe not the worst.
If we didn't have nukes, we wouldn't have Godzilla.
Best movie of all time.
Why? What's Godzilla got to do with
Because it's
nukes?
the whole point of the movie is it's like an anxiety over nuclear war, bro.
Why? Go on, explain.
Because this, like, unstoppable monster just, like, fucking levels the city. The whole thing's an allegory for nuclear weapons.
Is it now?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There you go. So Godzilla's got this deep meaning. I had no idea.
Yeah, bro. I'm not saying it's justified. I'm not trying to justify nuclear weapons. But I am trying to say that we don't have leaded gasoline anymore, and we still have nuclear weapons.
Do you think there's ever a situation where you'd want America to drop a nuke?
You know, I was thinking about that actually as they were talking about like this whole thing with Ukraine, and genuinely, no. I would rather Russia eat all of fucking Europe than die because of nuclear weapons. I don't care. I am not personally willing to die in a nuclear holocaust for
people you don't know.
People I don't know.
Yeah, I get that.
I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm not. It's not worth it to me.
What
Why?
if, like, America's involved in a war, your country's involved in a war, and you can drop a nuke and end the war, and your country doesn't, and then you know, soldiers from your country end up dying? Would you not be pissed off?
If it doesn't cause nuclear annihilation, there could be, you could justify the dropping the nukes on Japan if you, like, there's an argument for that. There's no argument against it.
Because if they didn't drop those nukes on Japan, there would have been a big D-Day style invasion, but bigger.
We talked a lot about this in my university, and most of us decided that,
You would support it? You would support it at the time?
Your job as president is to end the war with as few American casualties as possible. Is it not?
Well,
I would think.
I don't know. Like, nuclear bombs change the game, don't they? Because all of a sudden, like when the American president becomes the only person in the world with the power to drop a nuke.
Maybe nobody should have that power.
I agree.
Yeah, the world. I would trust our judgment more than.
Well, you'd need to change your whole system to account for the fact that you've now got this bomb. Like, if you're saying our president's in charge of the armed forces and he gets final say, but then all of a sudden you then invent this weapon which can, like, you know, destroy the world, and you say, by definition, he's got sole power to use it. That's fucked. You'd need to change the system to account for it. To be fair, I think I have already won the worst invention by just choosing the nuke, haven't I? It's a pretty easy one to go with.
Look, man,
John thought he was cool going with leather gasoline.
We can pick the obvious one every time, Matty, but some of us have to, you know, make an effort to make our worst of the worst.
Yes, some of us take ourselves seriously.
Well, I don't. That's why I've chosen as my worst invention is the cell phone, and more specifically, the smartphone.
Oh, you fucking old man.
Oh, dude, and you know what? I'm only fucking 27. I'm still young, and I fucking hate it. But, so, does anyone know what nomophobia is? And I'm not talking about John hating a specific demographic.
Is it the fear of cell phones by any chance?
This is the fear of those. No.
Wow, that's a good guess. Really good guess, dude. It's actually the fear of being detached from mobile phone connectivity.
Yeah.
And 66% of the population has this phobia. 66% of people have the fear of being detached from their phones.
At what point does it become a phobia where it's like a diagnosed thing, or are people just a bit scared to not have
No, but like
the phone?
studies have shown that being away from your cell phone causes depression and anxiety. Like, so it might not be the fear. I mean, any other phobia, like maybe, I don't know, homophobia, is not necessarily saying you're scared of that demographic, but you're uncomfortable with the idea of it. You're uncomfortable with the idea, or it gives you anxiety being away from your cellular
You might
device.
actually change my mind, because now that I'm thinking about it, people are fucking dumber because of smartphones.
So I might get into that later. So I'm gonna take like the obvious standpoint. So that
I just want to paint a scene for our listeners.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt here has a notepad full of notes. I don't think Matty has written this many words or even seen this many words in, I don't know, months. If Matty can read half of the words on this page, I will give him money after the podcast.
Well, let's have a look at it. Can anyone read that shitty handwriting?
You know why? No, because we all are so used to cell phones and
This is
text.
what
We don't know what handwriting looks like
This is
anymore.
what research looks like, Matty.
This is what research looks like. The National Safety Council estimates that 1.6 million crashes each year are caused by texting and driving, right? So
Could be the constant fear of nuclear war hanging over people's heads as well.
stop shoehorning in your fucking issues into my problem here, dude. Fuck you. 1 out of every 4 car accidents in the USA are caused by texting and driving. And you're 6 times more likely to be in an accident while driving by texting and driving than drunk driving. So you're safer drunk driving than texting and driving.
Right. But the point is it's a rate, right? If everybody's texting while driving, you're still unlikely to get into an accident, right? But not everyone is driving drunk.
I mean, this is an American statistic, so I don't know.
No,
You tell me, dude.
What I mean is, it's like a usage thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but then it's an epidemic though, because there's so many people fucking doing it that it becomes a problem.
It's definitely still a problem. Okay, sorry.
I mean, it's not the phone's fault that people are doing that while they're driving.
I just feel like the stat is
Oh, then whose fault is it?
I
the
just feel like the
person's?
stat is
But
misleading.
the people could choose not to be doing it.
The stat's misleading because it's a rate stat. It's not a like a percentage stat, right? Like or I don't know what the word for it, the mathematical term for it, but it's a rate stat, right? It mostly happens because there are more and more people texting, not because texting is actually worse. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you should check your stats out a bit more.
Oh no, fuck you. I disagree.
Have you got a source for those stats, by the way?
Actually, Psychology Today, motherfucker. Psychology Today. Go look it up. I'll fucking add a link to the Twitter account.
I've never
if
seen
necessary.
Matty use the internet. Loyal listeners, I've never once seen Matty use the internet for anything.
Matty's not.
For any reason.
I go on chat rooms sometimes.
AOL.
Yeah, I still use chat roulette.
Speaking of chat rooms, though, the number of people that are being used or children that are being sex trafficked has increased since the invention of smartphones because,
Really?
yeah, the availability of these traffickers, their access to children is so much higher now because children are
On the phone all the time.
they're on their phone all the time and they have access to the internet and
That's horrific.
the access to all these pedos.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking scary.
Or I mean, the pedos have access to them, really, right?
I mean, both ways.
I think about that scene in Arrested Development all the time.
Which scene?
When Tobias walks in, he's, oh, is there a little girl all alone? When he's sitting there to see his daughter. I feel like
So far, you're blaming phones for
Accidents
and
and pedos.
sex trafficking
Yes.
and paedophilia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those
But
are
what
both
about-
pretty fucking shit things. Don't
But what
fucking
about
downplay it.
Okay, but you got to admit. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll let you continue with all the bad things, but
Yeah.
there are plenty of other good things about cell phones.
Yeah, I
You keep
suppose.
digging yourself a hole if you
Yeah.
want.
Before
Let me dig my
before
hole
we
and then I'll
bludgeon you
fucking
with
decide
reason.
if I want to lie in it then. Cell phones are literally making us dumber, just like leaded gasoline. Cell phones are now affecting our circadian rhythms. There's been an increase in sleep patterns that have been affected negatively. And if your sleep patterns are affected negatively, you can drop up to 15 IQ points. And that has been attributed to cell phone usage because people don't know when to put their cell phones away before bed.
Do you guys have a night screen on your phone?
What's a night screen?
No.
I'll show you this app, bro. It filters out the blue light.
So the radiation from mobile towers have caused an increase in tumors, a lower IQ rate in infants, and also a decline in the population of bees. Do you guys understand?
Is this 5G shit, bro? Are you talking about
No, this
5G?
is not 5G shit, dude. I'm not the 5G guy. I'm saying like there is being a scientific correlation between the increase of mobile radiation and the decrease
Oh,
of
yeah,
the
I saw
population
the-
of
I saw
bees.
the-
If we don't have bees, we are fucked, dude.
That
I
was
think
on-
the radiation from nuclear bombs is quite bad as well.
Yeah, but then no one would care because we'll be fucking dead or
Do you
zombies or
think
fucking.
bees enjoyed inhaling lead?
The bees still existed during lead, did they not?
There are fewer bees now, I guarantee you.
Because of cell phone towers. That's why. Cell phones have been attributed to destroying families, dude. Cell phones are destroying families.
How so?
So, screen time is the third most frequent source of conflict between parents and children. First being chores and second being bedtime. Third being cell phones. Screen time,
But-
dude.
okay.
Destroying families.
Okay, that's fair. But in fairness, I don't know about when you were a kid and they were installing lights in your house and you were like, learning how to use a faucet and shit. But when
Are you saying this because I'm
but-
South African?
but
Did
when
did
I-
you assume
but-
that I didn't have
but
any of that
when
until I was growing up?
when I was growing up in the early 90s, my parents specifically bought a Super Nintendo in the hopes that I would somehow spend less time on playing video games once I had it and it wasn't special anymore. Was the idea, right? Because I would go over to friends' houses and just play the video games. And they were like, oh, we can't have that. If he has the video game console, then it'll be less special, right?
That sounds like backwards
Screen
thinking.
time has always been a problem since they've had screens, really. Because it's just a more engaging medium.
Well, now
Right.
the screens are closer to your face now, dude. They damage your photoreceptors and your eyes get fucked. Look at the amount of the population of the youth now. Like 80% of them are wearing glasses.
I'm not going to argue with you about fucked up eyes.
Yeah, cell phones.
You, of all people, I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah, the only reason you're not wearing fucking glasses right now because you wear contacts like a cheater.
Like,
You're cheating in life because you're wearing contacts. At least I'm a man and I fucking wear glasses, dude.
Would kids not just do something else to not spend time with the parents if phones weren't invented?
Yeah, dude, go ride your
Like-
bicycle outside, get fresh
What do
air,
you
get
think-
Yeah,
exercise.
like 100 years ago was the third biggest problem between parents and
How
kids
many-
that kids play with their fucking wooden toys too much.
Yeah, the stick wheel was the problem, dude. They
Yeah,
spent
like
too
the
much time
yo-yo
staring
was
at
the
that stick
problem.
wheel.
Yeah.
The average person will spend 5 years and 4 months of their lives on social media.
5 years.
5 years and 4 months is what the average person spends in their lifetime on social media. Then you have the issue of data mining, obviously, because as users of social media, we are willingly giving our information to these big corporations. Like when we sign up for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, we're giving our information to these huge corporations that are then selling our data, our personal habits, our beings to these people, and then they cater advertising towards us and then manipulate us into staying on their social media platform.
We choose it, though. We choose it.
Do you think you choose it, though? You think you choose it, but they have literally algorithms dedicated to like convincing you to stay on it. You think you choose it. You think you have the freedom of choice. You don't, dude. Why do you keep scrolling? You think you have that free will, or do you think it's been catered to me? Like, I'm seeing everything I like.
There is a certain level of habitualization. I will grant you. But ultimately, I think maybe this is just the American in me, but I think people are responsible for their actions.
So you believe in free will?
No, I don't believe in free will, actually, but I do think people are responsible.
Yeah, but like if you're growing up with phones now, I know what you're saying. Like technically speaking, we are responsible for our actions, but yeah, how responsible are we really? Like you've almost got no choice but to spend a lot of time on your phone unless you're a particularly different kind of person.
But I mean, think about when we were growing up, like, what would make you the outcast? Like, if you didn't have the Yu-Gi-Oh cards or the Pokemon cards. Now you're an outcast if you don't have a viral TikTok or you don't have a certain type of phone.
That's why we're all here, right? Because we don't have those phones and no one else hanging out with us.
I mean, no one wanted to hang out with me even when I had a phone, so...
I mean, partly it's just not liking things what are different and change. Because I do definitely look at young... I mean, it's people my age as well. I'm just an old man. But I look at, like, young kids as well. And there's something about it that just doesn't seem right.
It's toxic, though. It's toxic because that also... It sets the standard of... Like, it sets the culture, basically.
Are you guys familiar with the concept of the synchronicity?
Explain it.
The idea that I Jesus Christ, guys. At one point,
don't keep bringing stuff up and then being angry at us for asking you about it.
At some point, someone's like, "Oh yeah, I have heard of that." At some point, it's one of you. I'll just keep throwing it out there, and I'll just keep trying. At some
John's
point,
just trying to prove that he's an educated man.
The idea that we will merge with machines, essentially, and that like technological progress is exponential or close to it. Think about how different the world is now than it was 50 years ago, right? The technological growth is, if not exponential, it increases, right? So at some point, technological growth will just skyrocket, and eventually we will merge with machines.
So like when they plant a chip in your head, that's basically a cell phone.
We don't know exactly what it'll look like, but I do think that cell phones are if not the first step, a very crucial and major step.
So do you think synchronicity is a bad thing or a good thing?
I think time will tell. I don't think it's inherently going to be negative. I think it'll be so useful to like whatever ways we upgrade the human body. It'll be so useful that to not have it will be like you're like a lesser being.
Yeah, what's the point? What's the point in?
I can't wait for the day when I'm dreaming and then my dreams are interrupted by adverts for Shell Oil.
But wait, hold on. What if you could pay to have cool dreams? What if you were like, you're like, hey, Lauren, do you want to have the same dream tonight? And you guys could like go onto your mainframe and just like have the same dream, and you and Lauren were in the same fucking dream. And then like, wouldn't you put up with ads for that?
That takes away the human aspect of all of our fucking existences.
I don't even remember my dreams, so that'd be an upgrade for me personally.
Yeah, well, you're part of the problem.
That's fair. You sound like my mother.
Okay, well, did you know that you are 27% more likely to suffer from depression if you are a heavy social media user?
I didn't know that, but that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, dude, that's not a fucking good thing. Look, I might not be killing millions of people, but fucking hell, depression is an epidemic.
But what if I told you social media predates cell phones? I remember a time before the iPhone.
The before time.
Before time. And before the iPhone, we still had Facebook. It was a small thing, mostly university students, but it was there.
Yeah, but it wasn't in your pocket, available to you at every given second and constantly notifying you and giving you that compulsion and feeding into the addiction, you had to literally open up your computer, fucking log into AOL, and then actively go onto Facebook. It's not just readily available all the time, pervasive in your life. Did you know 45% of Americans would rather give up sex for 1 year than give up their cell phones?
Fuck me.
That's a big, like 1 in 2 Americans would rather fucking give up sex for a year.
How many of them are not having sex anyway?
I mean, how many people are using social media?
Everyone in
So-
in America, probably everyone. Yeah.
Oh, I heard a fun fact the other day. What is the statistically the happiest people in the world? How many sexual partners do they have in a year?
Probably a low amount, I'd imagine.
What do you think? What number? Statistically speaking, you are most likely to be, or like you're most likely to be happy if you have this number of partners per year. Like in like six a year.
I would say lower, maybe.
What
Like
do you
maybe
think?
1 or 2.
One.
One.
One is the happiest.
Yeah. God.
One is the happiest.
Yeah.
You
How many of
fucking
them are
pigs.
lying?
You fucking pigs.
I just thought maybe it was going to be like,
Turns
you know,
out being in love, Matty, is the best.
yeah. Maybe you could make love to multiple people. Are you limited in your capacity to love?
You sounded like you've practiced this pitch before, Matty. Have you tried this with Yasmin yet? Has this worked?
I mean, I'm working on polygamy.
I would
with
love
her.
to. I
She's
would love
getting
to hear
there.
this pitch. Okay, so let's say you have a dream, and you're visited by an angel, and the angel goes, Matty, if Yasmin does not agree to allow you to sleep with whoever you want in the next week, the world will end.
Yeah.
You need to do this. Goodbye.
Yeah.
What do you say?
I mean, the easiest way to get her to agree would be to threaten to kill her if she doesn't agree, wouldn't it?
Wow.
I think that'd be
wow.
the safest bet. No, but for this, for the sake of the planet.
You know what? That's
For the
not
sake
what I
of
was
the
expecting,
planet.
but you're totally right.
So I think if you really just want to like be safe about it and make sure that it's gonna work, then yeah, you just gotta make them really believe that you will kill them.
Damn.
It's heavy, dude.
So yeah, there you go.
This is a fucking meandering and exceptionally dark podcast. It's gotten fucking I mean, I guess you're right. It was for the world, bro.
For the greater good.
I'm
For the greater good.
a little impressed by your ruthlessness, to be honest with you. That's impressive.
Are you surprised though?
I was expecting you would. I mean, I didn't.
You
think,
expected me to make a really, really intelligent argument.
I was hoping. I wasn't expecting. I was.
You're
hoping.
not expecting that. No one
Hoping.
expected that.
Praying, really. Praying was the word.
You were thinking something along the lines of like, I got so much love to give.
I
and
didn't
gotta
think you
give
would.
it
I
in
didn't think you would go
different-
straight to threatening physical violence. That was. I didn't think. I thought you would.
Oh, dude,
I mean,
maybe
I've had
Matty
this
grew up in a
conversation-
fucking town where there was just an extra bunch of leaded gasoline, dude. And that's why he's so violent.
Yeah, that explains. Yeah, I'm sure Liverpool probably still uses it.
No, we're on horse and carriages still, I think.
Did you know? Did
Cell
you
phone
know?
facts.
For every 100 hours you talk on your phone, your risk of brain cancer increases by 5%.
You know, if you're in the middle of a nuclear bomb being dropped, your chances of brain cancer go down because you die instantly.
But then who would give a fuck? Because everyone would be dead anyway, and we wouldn't have this podcast. Cell phones are pervasive, and they're now, dude.
Yeah.
Recency bias.
Yeah, but that's all that really matters, though, is the now.
What about the good things cell phones do, bro?
like what?
Like for example, if I mean now I know my way to get here pretty easily. But Vietnam is a confusing country, and the road signs are pretty small, not always clear where to go. I don't speak the language. If I didn't have cell phones, I would never leave my neighborhood. I think the freedoms that cell phones allow us.
Like what?
Look, okay, I know freedoms are a foreign concept to you people, but some of us value being able to go in places and do things.
Learn how to read a map, dude. Just read a map.
So imagine this, right? Before cell phones, you would be like, hey, Lauren, I heard about this new place. You want to check it out? And she'd be like, sure. And you go, and it would fucking suck. And you'd be like, oh, if only there was a way I could have known. Right?
Well, I mean, but then I disagree because there's like, well, at least we had the experience. I don't get that instant gratification. I don't need that instant gratification. It's, oh, we went there, it sucked. Let's try something new.
If you wanted to go out with your mates and do something, you'd have to arrange it in person and then just hope that they turned up.
And that's how you know they're true
When it
friends,
happened.
because they
Think
turned
about how-
up.
Think about
Yeah,
how,
but what if something happened and then you're like, all right, I'll meet you at that bar at this time on that day, and then you just got to go.
Yeah, cool. That sounds exciting, dude.
We would never get
Terrifying.
anything done. This pod would never happen.
That sounds terrifying to me.
That sounds exciting. Be
The
like, ooh, if they don't
uncertainty.
rock up, they could be dead. They could just be at home. You never know, dude. It adds that allure, that mystery.
How's the cell service in South Africa?
Spotty. Hey,
You're puffing on a cigarette right now, complaining that cell phones are addictive, and I just don't buy it.
I have no arguments against that, but I still think they're the worst invention, dude.
You
Just go back to landlines. Let's go back to an agrarian culture, dude. Let's go back to an agrarian society. Maybe Pol Pot was right.
That was the big fuck up. I'm never going to forget that Pol Pot statement. I heard it. Just
At
for the
least-
record, I heard it.
At least,
Your
like, you
listeners, I
know,
heard it.
nuclear bombs kill people. Lead of gasoline, you know, it's a shit one, but it makes people stupider and whatever.
And you know how they probably
John can have
detonate nuclear bombs is using their fucking smartphone now, dude. There's probably just a little app now. It's just called Nuke app.
Yeah, because see, your
Yeah, nuke me.
Nuke me, daddy.
yeah, your invention is it's the nicest one, Matt. It's the nicest one. It's pretty good. We've all got one. We all use them all the time because they're good.
Because it's
I mean, they're
useful.
fine. They're
Super
fine.
useful.
Really useful.
Ah, fucking. But they've caused so much shit though, dude.
Just
Constantly.
but cell phones are bad. I'm not gonna say cell phones are good. I generally agree with your argument, Matt. Actually,
I can't tell you one reason why
Cell
cell
phones
phones are worse than nukes and leaded gasoline. TikTok. That's all I need to say, dude. TikTok exists, and that's so much worse than a nuke and leaded gasoline.
you just sound like an old man, bro. Just because the kids are enjoying it doesn't mean you need to not like it. Just because you don't relate to what the kids are doing.
Yeah. And your OnlyFans page would be struggling if it wasn't for smartphones.
That's true, bro. Until
I
that
mean, we have laptops.
until that mobile sale, you were doing no
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
I feel like Matty and I were just inflating the numbers.
So I think I made my point pretty clear of why cell phones are worse than the nuke and leaded gasoline, because I know everyone would agree. Yeah.
That's true. It's amazing how having unlimited information has actually made us dumber.
Yeah, we have the world in the palm of our hands, but
Dumber,
we
but are we
we
more-
choose not to
I don't
remember
know,
any
Are we more
information.
knowledgeable though?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you have. Why not just use an encyclopedia, dude, and
you
like
know-
retain that
Oh
information?
yeah, because encyclopedias are a lot more
I'll give
handy than a
you-
smartphone.
Well, okay, well, let me put you in a scenario. You're at a bar, and someone tells you a story, and you want facts backed up. Is it not more impressive if someone just knows what they're talking about instead of put it on the phone and be like, hold on, let me check that for
I'll
you.
tell
Let
So
me
you're
check
saying I
that."
should take an encyclopedia to a bar with
Yeah.
me?
I'm saying you should have learned your encyclopedia already, dude.
Look,
but
Matt
because
just
the
doesn't-
leaded gasoline has taught you not to read, so I
Matt
guess
just
we
doesn't
need
like getting
cell
fact
phones.
checked. Matt just doesn't like it when people are like, you know what? I don't think that's true, and then they fact check him right there. Matt would just prefer and people just be like, I don't know, and just like let it go.
Stop calling me out.
Matt doesn't
By
like
the
it.
way,
Yeah.
actually, by the way, while Matty was discussing nukes and we're talking about South Africa's nukes, John typed in the word South Africa, and the first suggestion was South Africa nuclear bombs. They're listening, dog.
They are listening.
They're
to us.
constantly listening
They're
to every
stealing our
fucking word you're
ideas. They're
saying.
stealing our ideas. Yeah, Google's evil, but you know what? Also, Google.
I mean,
uses a lot
that's
of free
also
shit.
that's John's googling history though, isn't it?
Yeah, he just Googles nuclear bombs for fun on a casual Wednesday.
It does because he heard
I'm
I
an
was doing
intellectual.
it. Because he heard I was doing
I
it,
mean,
so he
are you an
researched my
intellectual
one more
if your
than his.
intellect comes from Googling things at that moment?
as opposed.
Or
to
you should just know it.
I
dude.
just
You should
know in
it.
my gut. Is that the alternative? Just knowing things in your gut.
John thinks we should all be autistic like him.
Hey, man. We said we wouldn't talk about my autism on the podcast.
Sorry, bro. I'll leave it out. Cut it, Matt.
I cut
Don't.
nothing, dude. We leave everything in. We'd love to hear your thoughts on which invention you thought was the worst. You can get in touch with us on Instagram and Facebook at Worst of the Worst Pod, or on Twitter at Worst of Worst Pod, or just shoot us an email at worstoftheworstpod@gmail.com.